So roll the okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to try to keep my eye on all of the chats we have going on because there are quite a few. Thank you all for joining. We are also coming to you live on the Unreal Engine channels, as well as the Fortnite Create, as well as the official Fortnite Create Discord. So thank you all for being here. And thank you, Twin, for being here. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy, busy man. So thank you so much.
No, thanks so much for having me, for sure.
I, you know, there's so much we could say. There's a lot of people here. They're already popping in and talking about all the cool ways that you've helped individuals here that are here. So thank you so much for those of you chiming in to come and join us. For those of you who are connected and have worked with Twin before. And Twin, could you give us, just for those of us in here, there's a lot of new people who might not know, a little bit about your background, a little brief introduction. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I've been creating for about 5 years now. I got in pretty soon after Creative was released, not right away, but about a few months in. And I've just been since then making a lot of maps, working with a lot of people. Ended up helping found a team, 404 Creative, couple of years ago, and that's been going really well. And we love working together and making lots of stuff. And I personally focus on technical design. So pre UEFN, I was doing mainly device mechanics and stuff, and now I'm doing a mixture of that and verse programming. So yeah, that's my
Awesome.
creative background there.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We might get some one-off questions here in chat while we're going, so I hope you don't mind me throwing. I know we've got someone here asking, how many maps do you have? I imagine, Twin, that you've worked on quite a few. Do you even know the number off the top of your head, just by chance?
No, I mean, I used to do mechanics for like every other hub or something like that map that was coming out for a while, and just helping people with that kind of stuff, and used to manage a lot of different things that weren't on my code. And then now there's team stuff and all that. I mean, the number, you know I wouldn't be surprised if it was something around 100 or more at this
Wow.
point. Like I said, it's a little unclear just because maps are kind of nebulous things to an extent.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. So we talked a little bit briefly about that. So when it came to getting started in Fortnite island creation, what was that experience like for you, and compared to how it is today? Like how has your journey been in terms of how you feel overall for that?
I mean, okay, I can't imagine what it's like jumping in right now, compared to how it was back when I got started, just because things were just barely getting introduced. Just a couple weeks into me starting to create, they introduced channels and receivers. And back then we only had 8 channels, for those of you that understand what that means. There wasn't much to work with. Yeah, but I got to learn things as they were released, one at a time. So I feel like that was an advantage. And so it's probably kind of overwhelming coming in now, with everything that there is to learn, especially with UEFN, if that's what you do. So yeah, I think probably the difference between now and then is there's a lot of tools and catching up to do, when you come in later on.
Yeah, can't even imagine. And who or what has been your biggest influence in the world of game design and mechanics, would you say, Twin?
Um, Honestly, I would say just my gaming experiences, both before Fortnite, and within Fortnite as well. The things that I've enjoyed playing. Um, I grew up I grew up playing a lot of Nintendo games and stuff. So Nintendo was a big, Mario games are a big inspiration there. the Portal series as well.
Oh,
Really,
nice.
I
Yeah.
feel like was something that helped me zone in on puzzle design and intuitive design in games. Um, but yeah, sorry.
Awesome. No, no worries. And let's see here. We've got oh, someone did have a question. How did you first get into contact with Epic long ago?
I don't remember what first, contact I had with anyone specifically from Epic. I know just being in this server, um, we would interact with each other every once in a while and, you know, submitting for feature back then and stuff. It was a little bit different of a space at that time. And so, I mean, I submitted several maps for featuring that I never, heard back from. At the time, you didn't get confirmation of, that you submitted even, I don't think, nor that, that you passed or that you weren't going to be featured. So you would just submit and then months later, one day, you just have like 50 DMs, saying like, congratulations, you're featured. Kind of thing. So I submitted a lot for features back then, and so eventually I looked for some feedback about that stuff, and so I think it was just feedback through like Flack and Kuru and people like
Nice.
that were you know were and are super awesome.
Yeah, shout out to them. That's
Yeah.
cool. Thanks for sharing.
Hmm.
Um, and then we had a lot of questions about your creative process, Twin. So, can you walk us a bit through? I mean, I know you're on a big team now as well, but from even the beginning till now, like what are big parts of your creative process when it comes to designing a new island in Fortnite?
Um, that depends a lot on what kind of project it is. What kind, of course, like you said, I'm on the team now and we'll have a lot of like timelines that we have to work on. So we don't always get to do the ideal flow for every single project. But ideally, before I even do anything on the island itself, I have an understanding of what the general mechanics are going to be, the game mechanics are. And I don't mean like the devices or the verse, just in general, what's the game mode, how does it work, how does it flow and stuff. So I try to get a good idea of that. If I don't have a good idea of that, I'm in a testing phase where I'm trying things out. I'm possibly making like a demo island of the game essentially, and then if that works out, then um, we know we can design a level around the game mode, so it goes into a gray boxing level design phase, and then art gets applied, and um, that's when the later fringe mechanics kind of come into play, balance adjustments and all that. So that's kind of the ideal flow for us and for me. um if I can do that type of thing. But it's like, obviously, if I'm making like a box fight or something, I've made like 40 of those or something like that, so it's like I don't need to test that or anything. I can just kind of put it together and know how how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had a really great question around what is the most challenging aspect of creating a Fortnite island from scratch currently today?
I think the most challenging part, and I don't know if you guys will see this as a cop out, but I think the most challenging part is finishing it. It's a skill in and of itself. um and just because in different projects and different people and different projects are going to have different pain points. So uh just being able to check off everything that you need to, um following through with all the little frills and details that need to happen on the island. I can't remember what the saying is, but it's like the last 10% is like 90% of the work or something like that. I always forget what what the
Oh,
exact
yeah.
phrasing is, but it's totally true. I think with Fortnite map creating. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Benz is correct. Definitely, trying to work within client parameters can be another difficult part outside of the actual map creation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ooh, this was a really fun question that we got. What would you most love to create in Fortnite if time and money was no object?
Gosh, I mean, so many things for sure, but I uh I'd love to create some really big open-ended survival stuff, survival and simulator style maps basically. I love that kind of stuff, and with Fortnite being such a great like hangout game, you know, that type of thing. Uh what's it called, that type of thing I think would be really really nice to make, but it's such a huge scoped project that
Mm.
it's one that's hard to really crack into. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of game modes. I'd love to do survival. I'd love to make a really really detailed platformer. Yeah, Haley,
I was gonna
I would
say you're
love
being
to.
called out.
I know, yeah. uh I hope so. I really hope so. With UEFN tools and everything, we there's so much that we can do now, that we couldn't do even back when I was starting a lot of projects like that. So trust me, I'm chomping at the bit to get into stuff like that. But just lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ooh. I mean, we talked a little bit about this, but someone was wondering what are some of the major decisions you have to make when you're making an experience? Like, are there ones that come up as, oh, we got to make this big one again? Like every time at the beginning, this is one of the hardest decisions. Someone was wondering how you feel about that.
Uh, so just um, sorry, I'm trying to get a better read on the question because
Yeah, someone
so
was just
like
wondering, like, yeah, what are the big decisions you have to make every time you make an island?
it kind of
I
varies
know there's a
per
lot
island.
probably. So it's like, are there some major ones that you struggle with, or that's like, oh, this one again? Of course, we got to make this big decision. Is it going to be this or is it going to be that?
Well, that's not usually there's not usually like a consistent question, that comes up in every single project or anything. There are types of issues that come up, or whatever, when we have to make judgment calls about things. So a lot of those types of questions for me come down to uh should we have this feature in the map? Is it worth what type of instability it might um, cause in the map by having that type of mechanic? What other things does it touch? Um, what? Yeah, basically, yeah. How likely are we to be punished by putting this in the map, and how much will we be punished if everything goes wrong? Kind of a thing. And so that those types of decisions are really hard because it takes a lot of just guessing based on what the specifics are of those mechanics. So that's always really hard for me, if we're dealing with a feature that all of us really love, but we're torn about whether or not it should even be in the game, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I myself have remembered working on projects where, half of our team was like, "We need this thing. It's so beautiful and perfect, and it's gonna be amazing." And the other half was like, "It could cause so many issues. We mustn't." And there was like this big battle between people at the studio. Ultimately, we didn't have the thing, and to this day, it's still brought up as why couldn't we have the thing? Why couldn't we have just taken a chance? So I totally get it. Um, Here's a great question. So you, of course, for those who don't know, Twin built out the lab, which is a Discord community for creators to kind of come together and learn from each other. It's a lot about, of course, the more technical side, a lot of people helping each other out, which is really awesome. And a lot of people are wondering how you developed your skills in UEFN and with verse scripting. Do you have any advice there?
Honestly, just it's just a lot of hours that I put into it. Just using the software and playing with everything a lot and looking at a lot of tutorials and um, just trying to stay in tune with everything everybody's talking about and stuff. Just trying to be aware of uh, what kind of bugs are out there if I can be, and keeping my ear to the ground. Um, and then in addition, yeah, just I looked at UEFN and Verse because I don't have a background in Unreal Engine or anything. I just I started with Fortnite Creative like a lot of people did here, and so I looked at it like it was a complete reset. I looked
Yeah.
at it like I was back 5 years ago and I knew nothing, and I just needed to start with the basics and just play around with those, and just really get a firm understanding of what I was dealing with, and I'll let you know when that happens. So I'm still learning stuff every day, and there's so much there, uh, but I love it. The transition's been interesting, but I couldn't see myself going back for sure. It's UEFN's been an amazing tool, just as somebody that likes to use it casually as well as for work. So
Yeah, absolutely. I have a very serious question for you.
okay.
Um, Taking into account your vast device knowledge and verse experience, Twin, thinking about how the devices and workflow has evolved over the years, what is your favorite cheese?
Well, given all the work and time I put into learning UEFN and verse, I would say that my favorite cheese is really boring. It's cheddar, actually.
Oh
I love
man.
cheddar cheese. But you know what? I used to work at a
No
fondue
judgment.
restaurant, actually, and my favorite fondue there
I love
was
that.
this like 80-20 mixture of this sharp Wisconsin cheddar with Swiss.
Wow.
It's this it's called bacon cheddar fondue. I love it.
Sounds
If you guys want
delicious.
to judge me for my basic cheese choice, then that's completely up to you. But I like liking things personally, so you know.
You know? Yeah, might as well be a liker than a hater. That's what I always say. Thank you for that question, community. It is very insightful.
Really excellent question.
Yeah, really probably the best question we have today. So if that's not good enough for you, just
Was
leave.
that I'm sorry, was that Ty that gave
I
that
actually
question?
didn't write
Oh,
it down, but I have a feeling. Yeah.
I don't know if we can confirm that. Oh, but Ty can.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Okay.
confirming it in our Discord chat. Did you
Well,
say fondue restaurant?
I
Someone's saying
did.
on YouTube.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I come from food service before creative mode, so you
Same,
know.
same. Okay, here's another one. Let's see. I know we talked about verse already, but what is the best way to improve someone's verse skills and code management? Some people prefer one total device, some people prefer multiple, but in your opinion, Twin, what do you recommend?
Well, that was kind of two questions. So I'll split that up and say, I think the best way to learn verse is really just by using it a lot. And like I said, what I did with the tools here is just really start at a basic level, make sure that you understand each thing as you go. Um, don't just copy stuff from tutorials, go into your own island, try to recreate that tutorial from scratch, try to change things about it. When I started with verse, the first thing I did was learned how to turn on a barrier with a button, and then the next thing I learned was how to turn on an array of barriers with a button. And then I learned how to put a delay between those barriers, enabling them. And it was I was not aspiring to make a game mode even out of it. It was just individual mechanics, seeing how things link together first, and then you know from there it was just asking a lot of questions and using it a lot. Um, and then as far as using one verse device or multiple verse devices go, uh, that I think is a little situational. One verse device, from my understanding so far, is going to be less memory normally. Um, you know, but it depends on what you're doing, because certain mechanics require well, not require, but are benefited by using several verse devices um, to mark certain things, like if you're doing kind of node based stuff. I don't, if for people that understand what I mean there, um, it's you know I'll use a verse device as a place to signify where a board game tile or tycoon tile is, or something like that. So in that case, I'm using possibly a couple hundred of them. But just because of instance costs and stuff, it's not a super crazy memory situation. So
We got
yeah,
a
I,
great.
I think it's situational.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And we got a really great kind of follow-up question to you here, which is, what is the most unusual mechanic you've ever developed?
That's a good question. um I would say that about 4 years ago I made a death run called Double Helix Death Run, and in it I made a level where there was a music sequencer wall that would come out of the
Ooh.
wall at you. So you'd have to sprint to get to the checkpoint to get past the wall. And at the end, oh, sorry, music sequencers are now called pulse triggers. So there was a pulse trigger. And back then, you couldn't transmit when that wall touched someone. And so what I found was that perception triggers couldn't see through the wall. So I lined up a bunch of perception triggers on the other side of the wall of the death run, which had no collision, so the perception triggers could see through them. And the if the perception trigger wall touched me, that meant the perception triggers could now see me and would teleport me back to the checkpoint. So at that time, it was kind of like a storm, with like a no death storm kind of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really proud of that, because I thought that that was really interesting, and that it was confusing for a lot of people to figure out how it worked, and I loved that about it, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was probably of the most unusual mechanics that I've done, if not the most.
That was fun. Thanks for the good question.
Mhm.
We have one other really good question on from the Unreal Engine side, and they said, if you could wake up tomorrow and have one thing added to UEFN, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Um,
Just one.
I mean, stability. No. I that's a good question. Just because there's a lot of little things I really want, but I guess the thing that I'm most excited about is custom items, inventory, tools and stuff. If we got those tomorrow, I'd be a pretty happy camper.
Good to know.
Pretty
Good to
simple
know.
answer on
Thanks for
that
the
one.
question. Yeah, thanks for the
Yeah.
um what is here's one. This was kind of a technical question that we got. Hopefully, I don't know, I don't think we could follow up on it, so hopefully it makes a lot of sense. But how do you handle creative devices that don't require editables but still have many lines of code, like 100 lines?
Well, I don't completely understand that question, but
Okay.
um, I'll
I
do
tried
my
my best to
best
translate
to, yeah.
since it's just a submission process.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I'll try to do my best to address that. In order to reference things in the world, you have to use what's called editables for people that don't know, which is a way of picking devices that the verse controls. So you either have to use editables or you have to tag the items. So if you're not using editables, you're likely using tags to get the devices, or it's something that doesn't actually directly control devices or anything, in which case, if it doesn't have editables at all, I usually don't make it its own creative device unless there's like a really specific reason for it. I make it its own section of an existing creative device. So I don't know if that answers that person's question. I hope it does, but
I
thank you
hope
for
it
asking
does. Yeah, thank you
it.
for asking it. Um, let's see. Okay, we've got a few questions for you live and also pre submitted about community. Um, do you have any well, I guess let's start with how did you develop your community, the lab? And or your player community if you have any advice there, and then we'll kind of go into like any specific advice you have for building a community today.
Yeah. You know, uh, I'd say the only community I've done really well so far has been the lab. Um, I've had mixed success when it comes to a player base. I definitely have my fair share of a handful of people that will consistently play stuff and message me on Instagram or X or whatever have you. But the lab was a big one for me, and I mean the way that I built that was just by um, just doing a lot of networking in the community. I got on Twitter, so it was called at the time, and I just followed every map creator I could find, and started learning about who was around. Started working with as many people as I could, just doing mechanics and stuff, and just tried to be a really chill, level-headed person to work with as much as I could control, and just tried to be professional. And I think that uh, that mixed with my proficiency with devices and stuff, people knew about that. So when I created the lab, or when I opened the lab to the public, actually I should say, because it was originally it was a private server for me and just a few other people. But when I opened it up to the public, I was already uh, kind of familiar with a lot of other people in the community. They knew who I was, so they joined knowing that it would be a good place for discussion about that kind of thing at the time. And yeah, I mean it's very different space now because a lot of those people are off doing a lot of different things, and now there's a lot of new people coming in and everything. And yeah, so it's pretty different now. But that was how that got put together back then. And I think just by staying active in the community and um, you know, choosing what I say and do carefully, people knew that if I said something, I would probably wasn't saying it for no reason, kind of a thing. I could be mistaken, but um, people could trust that I wasn't, spreading misinformation or anything like that. So I think that all really contributed to people's wanting to be a part of that. Um, it was a good resource for people to be able to chat with each other about that sort of thing. And in kind of a quiet spot. But that only lasts so long. So
I feel that.
yeah.
We asked about what your most complicated game mechanic was, but someone wanted to know what are some of your favorite game mechanics that you've implemented into your islands?
Um well, I mean the perception trigger pulse trigger combo was definitely up there too with one of my favorites. But that Ty brought it up earlier, but yeah, teleporting using item granters was something I was a fan of because it was a little unconventional. Like I feel like now, people like, oh, whatever about something like that. We have so many ways of doing things, and but back then, I was definitely proud of myself for um, figuring out how to do that. And um, so I would grant everybody one bullet, and then I would use the when item granted function on the item grant or event on the item granter to connect them to other stuff. So without having to use a mutator zone or a player counter or anything like that. Actually, player counters didn't exist when we did that, but without having to use a mutator zone, um, I was able to grab instigation from everybody that was in the map at that time. So I could do spawn positions without having spawn pads down and stuff. And 4 years ago, that was a little bit more interesting than it is now.
No, I understand. I think feel fondly about things that I made happen way before the technology was there back in the day as well. Or I'm like, that was definitely
Yeah,
something I
for
was very
sure.
proud of. But I'm like, today, way easier. You guys don't understand. Y'all kids with your TikToks don't understand how hard it was. No, I totally understand. Let's see. Someone was wondering, how do you balance making a game both fun and challenging for players?
Um, I mean, that all comes through testing. Um, you know, fun is something that I think is a much larger question and is like an X factor kind of
Yeah.
situation with every island. I don't think that there's a recipe for fun. Um, and you have to find it kind of, and when you do find it, you build around that. And that's happened so many times just playing around in creative mode and just figuring out that it was like super fun just to do this or that with stuff. Just playing around with what was possible and then figuring out like, oh, you know you can use a what's it called, a rift to go and a mutator zone in the sky to make it to where people can teleport themselves with a rift to go, and that can make for really good puzzles or something. And so that's how you find the fun. And so to balance that with how challenging it is, um, you have to be really connected with your process. Start the game a lot, and be in the player's perspective a lot. And then once you have it put together, do a lot of testing and get a lot of feedback about it. And just be really ready to question your own assumptions about what you've made. you know um so I think that that's all it really comes down to. You can't guess everything. So you just have to get playtesters.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there was a great question about playtesting that we had earlier. I think it was something along the lines of, if you're still here, feel free to ask it. I can't remember who it was, but they basically said, what tips do you have for setting up playtests with your community? Do you have any advice for others around doing that with a creation? Of course, making individual creations pretty often. You said you made over 100 islands. Like, do you have any tips or advice for that? I assume it has to do with kind of being part of a team now is probably a little bit easier, but curious to hear your thoughts, Twin.
Yeah, that's changed a lot over the years. And I think this again relates to another larger question, but or a larger thing to talk about. But uh when it comes to getting playtesters, I'll just say, and people aren't going to love this answer, but there's no magic way of just getting playtesters. People aren't super interested that are creating maps and playtesting a million other people's islands. They don't have time. There's so many of us doing it and stuff. And that's that's understandable and stuff. And generally speaking, you want to get a lot of players, and the only way to do that is to have some reach in social media, or to have a community that you've built up. If you've built up a community Discord server, or you're you know you're active on social media, it's going to be easier for you. um and back in the day, I used to load into Creative Fill, with my maps, and try to get them in as fast as I could, and then that would get a full lobby on the maps that I made, and then I could see how people reacted to it. And that was how a lot of people started out, and so that was what I was creating for too. At the time, was to make maps that were fun practice maps for me and my friends to play, because I love battle royale before creating in creative mode and stuff. So at first, that's the kinds of things I was making: zone wars and box fights and things like that. And so I'd load into a map, into creative fill. I'd bring up the map, and I just listened to what people said and tried not to really say anything, and people would be like, "This map is terrible." And I just be like, I
No.
wonder, why they'd say that. And then, if I waited long enough, they'd start, making sense. And so it was a very humbling experience for sure. But that's not as able to be done now. Obviously, you're kind of more at the mercy of Discover. And when maps get tested in Discover, or they get pushed in Discover a little bit harder, jump into your map and listen to feedback. um you know and uh that's a way. And then obviously there are some other resources too, like Fortnite Creative HQ is a really good resource for trying to get some play testing. um and they do what they can over there to supply that to people. um so I definitely recommend checking that place out, and submitting your map for playtesting there, if you're looking for that. um it's not going to be an end all. You can't necessarily get a million people playing it, but you'll get some good feedback from some people that play maps all the time. um and that in and of itself is some gold. So um yeah, that's the playtesting answer. It's just a lot of work, and just knowing what's available to you at any given time.
Yes, definitely, definitely great advice. We did have somebody who posted earlier, I just wanted to call out, who said that they got a lot of help from you as yes, it's Upside Yonder. They said they love creative so much, and from being a full-time indie Unreal dev, switching to UEFN was a great decision, but that you've been a great help with their process. And your Discord is amazing. So I just wanted to call that out. So thanks for the love, Upside Yonder. It's very sweet.
Yeah, thank you for saying
Um,
that. Everybody's saying a lot of really kind things in the comments. So I just, I would like to say thank you to everybody for sure for saying all that. It means a lot to me. So um, I'm seeing it all, and y'all are gonna make me cry.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. Okay, well, we still got so many questions. Okay, I know we've talked to other individuals who worked with teams, and someone wanted to know how collaboration works within your team.
Yeah, it's it starts at the very beginning. When we start a map, we're all kind of in on the conversation about how what it's going to be and how it's going to work. And after that, we just kind of tend to fall into our roles, and things that we can get done for the island. So obviously once stuff is decided, my role is to start prototyping and scripting out the game mechanics, or I'm one of the people that does that on my team. um there's we have some other coders, notably EJ Dubs, a very talented young man.
He's great. Yeah.
I've learned a
Shout
lot
out to
from.
EJ.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's just that's mainly how it goes. And I kind of talked a little bit earlier about the flow, the what's it called? Um, I can't think of words here today,
Oh, it's
but
okay.
the
We all have those
ideal
days.
flow of creation, is kind of like that, where we're just dealing with core mechanics first. So people that want to be involved in that get involved in that, and then on the side there we might be gray boxing the layout, and once we can test mechanics on that gray box layout, we can start applying art. But yeah, that's kind of how that ends up working. But we're always on Discord together. We do like normal working hours in the day, and just are there with each other for most of that. And just staying in contact with each other, and kind of trying to treat it like we're in the same place together. So if you know any of us are needed, we're right there.
Absolutely. Can you share a memorable project you've worked on with your team and what made it so special?
Gosh, I mean, there's been a lot. um yeah, there's definitely been a lot of projects that have meant different things to me, to work on. But I guess I would say the one that has always stuck out to me was Primal Rumble. Actually, I just felt like that one flowed really well. We ended up getting an LTM with it, and that was really cool. And um, it was just a really fun, semi, original idea. I felt like it was kind of unique. Um, so that one sticks out to me. There isn't much to say about it. It was a cool one. I would love to make another one soon, if we ever get time. So that'd
Yeah,
be great.
absolutely. Maybe. Um, let's see. What? Okay. Ooh. This is a great one too about the community. We're kind of going back to community twins. Sorry about that. But what motivated you to create and manage one of the largest community discords for Fortnite creators?
Um, honestly, I just wanted to create a space where people could hang out and talk about map creation, and ask questions about device mechanics, and discuss that type of thing freely, and learn from each other a lot. And um, I don't know, like I just started answering a lot of questions on Discord for people, and trying to um, do work for people a lot back then, especially just because there was very little time that I needed to put into it. It would take me 30 minutes to an hour or something like that to just throw some things into somebody's island. And, it's just, um, I just know that there's different roles when it comes to game development, and not everybody needs to be super interested in game mechanics. There's people that just really like to do environment art, or like, now things like UI work or materials, or, VFX, or, things like that. And it's just like, I just, if I could help it, I wanted to make things possible for those people that were fairly easy for me to do, you know. And just because I think it helped out a lot. I learned a lot doing it because I was able to work on a lot of different types of things. And like I said, I was able to provide that to people, especially for that time. Um, and it just was a mutually beneficial thing, I guess. I just got a lot of experience doing it. And you know a lot of people had islands made that they wouldn't have done otherwise. And so it was just a win-win situation. And
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what happened there.
That's what I hope community is, the win-win situation. How
you
is
would,
it?
one
You
would.
would think you would want you would want that. How has your community influenced or contributed to your work as a creator? It's a good question.
I mean, it's been part of my life, so obviously some, I've learned a lot from the lab existing as well. Um, there's a lot of things that people bring to my attention, both about bugs or about um, the way things work that are members of the lab. When it comes to, I'd say the biggest example of that recently is that I've learned a lot of the verse that I know from someone named F8 Script. She's part of the team Beyond. Um, and I met her through her just being a member of the lab. And just, a a few years ago, she showed me a calculator she made in,
Mm.
Creative 1.0. Yeah. Um, so, she's obviously really
That's
smart.
nice. Yeah.
But what's it called? But she has a really solid coding background, and I definitely owe a lot of what I know to her when it comes to scripting. So, um, you know, that's a huge influence on me,
Yeah.
obviously, that I
Nice.
can mention.
Absolutely. That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Some people wanted to know if you could give us any insight into any upcoming projects or islands you're working on, though I know a lot of things would probably prevent you from that. But someone wanted to know, so I just figured I'd ask.
Well, yeah, the team is working on, and then we got this other thing coming up where we got this.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That sounds amazing.
So yeah, I mean, I'm
Um,
really excited about those things that are coming up. Um,
I feel so blessed to
no.
know all of that. And I'm going to, yeah, I'm so glad everyone got to hear that as well.
um, yeah, okay. So to put jokes aside, yeah,
Oh,
there's a lot of stuff going on with 404. Can't mention most of it that's in the works right now, but we're really excited to have released the rocket racing tracks that we've been working on over there. So that's been really
cool.
cool recently to get those out there and to get people playing those. And the game jam maps came out and stuff, and that was a really fun experience as well.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be able to share that with people finally. So the things we're working on now, I can't wait to share with you 6 to 8 months from now or something, when
Heck yeah.
those happen. And personally,
Absolutely.
I'm working on some stuff here. Nothing I feel like people would be, super excited about, but it's just me, trying to keep my craft up and um,
Nice.
you know, just trying to make things I enjoy and um,
Heck yeah.
you know,
What it's all about, right?
yeah.
Trick said, can't believe you just casually broke those NDAs. Not a thought in the world. Uh,
Oh, and liability. Yes, the ESL maps too are have been very exciting to
yeah.
do. So really cool with those coming out, seeing the players on those maps, and um, yeah, just watching the pros playing.
Yeah.
It's been really sweet.
Great call. That's great to hear. Okay, let's see. What new features or updates are you most excited about for Fortnite's creative mode? It's a good question.
Like I mentioned earlier, custom items are a big one. I can't wait to be able to do more with the player's inventory and items. You know, physics is another one that's huge. More physics options. Um, more persistence options as well. The stuff that's supposed to come with Max Verse is going to be great. So I'm just a lot of stuff that I'm really excited about.
Awesome. Someone was curious. I don't know if you've tested this because or if you remember before having like the social media support, but Do you feel that there's a difference in traction between when a map of yours has been featured, uh, like on Epic's Picks or something, versus only social media promotion?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're both just avenues, to try to get some plays. Obviously, Epic's Picks is a little bit more direct, so um, I think that will convert. It kind of depends on your audience. I don't have like a personally huge audience in social media, so it would be, Epic's Picks would probably ensure a little bit more players than me merely posting about it, on social
Yeah,
media. But
two things are better than
um,
one for sure.
exactly, try to do both. If you think that your map, is Epic's Picks material for sure, then definitely submit everything you can um, to Epic's Picks, as well as doing social media promotion. And that's a whole that's a whole other thing in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of details and, you know, paths you can take and things you can try. And my favorite is always when Immature talks about marketing as well, like trying out very unique ways of marketing that people haven't necessarily even thought of. Like when he did his billboard
Hmm.
marketing, that was super exciting. But I know there's more and more ways. I know we just haven't tapped into it yet.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's hard out there. I know Unreal Engine over there. I know y'all devs totally understand creating, putting your heart and soul into an indie title or into a bigger title and, just hoping that it gets the right audience, the right exposure. We've all been there and yeah, it's there's so much out there now. It's so much saturation that it can be hard, but we all appreciate you creating and putting your hearts into everything because there are so many games out there that I love that are close to my heart that are a lot of people never even heard of, and I have to tell everyone. I'm like, this is one of the most amazing games ever. And then when you find the one person that also knows about it, you're like, we've got to tell the world, right? Like, so thank you all for that. And then let's see. This one's kind of, I'm not gonna ask one because it's a little similar to what we've already talked about. I know we're short on time here. Um, mm, we talked about, did we talk about this, Twin? What a memorable piece of feedback you've received from a player or other creator? I think we talked about someone who contributed, but not memorable piece of feedback. So yeah, I guess this one is new. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten so much feedback over the years, from people. Um, I what's funny is I don't think even the feedback about one of my own islands was something that stuck with me the most. I would say that it was just playing creative film apps back in the early days, and I really liked, like I said, I like box fights and zone wars and things like that. But I remember playing a zone wars map that I won't name, um, but I played a zone wars map that was very popular at that time, and I was basically just like, it didn't have current loot or anything. It was kind of wacky. It wasn't a very competitive experience, and I was like, I don't get this. I don't
yeah.
understand how it's so popular and
Huh.
stuff. And so I used to play with this dude back then, he's not really like a map creator. He's dabbled in it and stuff, but um, I used to play with him, and he was just like, well, Twin, like, I like playing this map because I like that it has a lot of loot that's vaulted and stuff that I can't use
Hmm.
in the battle royale, and um, it's fun just popping people down from balloons and doing stuff like that basically, and it's just like it's a different experience, and since it's always busy and stuff, there's parts of the experience, like the zone didn't close all the way at the end like most zone wars did, so it would go on forever until the last person was killed. But it turned out that was like a really cool mechanic because everybody would be spectating by that time, and so everybody got to watch this like crazy tense cat and mouse on the
Hmm.
island that would happen and stuff. And so it really made me question Uh, people are making some guesses about which island I'm talking about. I will neither confirm nor deny that they are correct. But yeah, it really made me question my assumptions about what I thought about game design.
Mhm.
Hearing that type of thing and really thinking about it and going like, I'm really not just like experiencing this. I'm not, I'm thinking about it too much and I'm not just playing it. And like I'm not trying to buy what it's selling, kind of a thing. And if you're not buying what the map is selling, then you won't learn what there is to learn about the map, kind of a thing. And so if you're always, you know, coming from a position that better or something than some other map does that's popular, then you're not going to learn from it. Um, and that was a big thing for me, was just to learn some humility there when it came to what I thought about game making. You know, to
Yeah.
just like music, if it sounds good, it is good. If a map is fun, it's good.
Yeah,
Nothing
that's
else
right.
matters. Doesn't matter how
Yeah.
how it looks. It doesn't matter how you put the mechanics together, whether you used verse or devices or anything like that. If people have a great time playing it, then I think it's success. So
Yeah, I hear that. Well, thank you so much, Twin. I think we have time for some rapid fire questions from the audiences. So let's do a quick rapid fire fun question time before we wrap it up for today. Anybody got some good ones for Twin here? Dun, 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 dun. Semicolons or brackets, go.
semicolons.
That's a good
It's
answer. That's a good
semicolons.
answer. That's a good answer.
I
What
just use colons. I don't know if
just
that's I just use colons, not semicolons.
not semicolons.
Yeah.
Semicolon slander happening.
Yeah.
Do you have any pets? Go.
I do. I have a cat named Binks who's not in the room, and I have a dog named Astro who is, I think, sitting slightly out of view over here. But he's just chilling out right now. But he's our dog. He's our puppy. Oh yeah, there he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cute. Let's see. Ooh, favorite device. Go.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, me and the item granter go way back, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'd have to say player counter.
All
It
right.
has its issues sometimes, but it's
All
so
right.
good. It's
All right.
just so many things you can do with it.
What kind of candy bar would you be?
Kind of candy bar would I be?
Yeah. Period.
I don't know, either the least tasty one or the tastiest one, depending on how my brain was wired as a candy bar. Like I don't know if I don't know if I want to
That seems
survive or if I'm like,
subjective.
no, eat me. I want to be a good candy bar. If that was the case, I guess I
help,
don't know. I'd be like a Milky Way or something.
help me be an effective candy bar. If you could have one C-list superpower, what would it be?
Oh, geez, one C-list superpower.
I
I
don't even
you
know how
know
you grade them. I feel like that's subjective squatting, but I'll take
I
it.
don't know. I my superpower would be like, being at the right place at the right time. I guess that's Batman's superpower, huh? He's
Yeah, I
just
guess.
you know.
Unreal Engine, I see your unhinged questions over there. I see y'all asking unhinged questions. You're not left out.
Where is it? I dropped
Cooking
my
or
controller
eating?
here.
Oh my God, cooking or
Oh,
eating.
cooking
That's an
or
easy one.
eating? I
Eating for
you
me.
know, I like both a lot. I really do, but I love I guess I'd choose eating though, you know. That's a hard one. I'm just like, would you uh, do
Wow.
I never
I
get
don't
to eat?
I really hear the
Like
passion in your voice about this one.
it's rough,
It's rough.
you know.
Absolutely.
I'm
All
glad that's a
right.
bridge I don't have to cross in real life.
For real. What? Oh, that's a great one. How is Shane supposed to verbally say that? Okay, okay. If colon, then colon, or if brackets, open bracket, close bracket, sorry, open parentheses, close parentheses, colon for multiple conditions?
Uh, Also situational. I think that the first one looks nicer, but if I want to split up the conditions to individually check for them, then I obviously have to separate them. So I'm a function over look kind of a guy. So I kind of don't
Okay.
care what it looks like, if as long as it's the best you know
Heck yeah.
use that you can get from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, one last question. This is a good one. Who would win in a fight? 10 trillion lions or the sun?
I think that was figured out on the internet like 10 years ago or
Oh,
something, right? I don't remember what the answer was.
I feel like the sun is
Um,
the correct answer, but but the sun
I
doesn't, well, it
guess,
moves,
yeah.
but I mean, if the lions are attacking the sun, they're just gonna.
It's like the sun seems like the clear answer, but I mean, 10 trillion is a lot of lions.
That is, how much space does a lion take up? And then 10 trillion of them, and then how big is the sun? I need to see a
Yeah,
comparison.
10 trillion lions. That's, imagine if there was one lion for every red versus blue
Yeah.
that was ever created.
Absolutely. 10 trillion, bruh. uh okay. Hopefully those lions could breathe in space. You know what? Great one. Great one.
Yeah, there's a
Okay,
lot
cool.
of
Well,
science that I question about that for sure.
well, thank you so much, Twin, for joining us today. Thank you, communities, for joining in and hanging out. It was great to have you and to learn so much of your expertise from the community. Twin's been with us for a very long time. He has a ton to share. If you are looking into getting into UEFN or creative, he's definitely someone that you can reach out to and say hi. He's very active in our advice channels on our official Discord, and he runs his own Discord, The Lab. So if you type in, what's the official title? Is it The Lab, Twin, or if like someone was searching for it in
um,
Discord? I'm trying to remember the
yeah, I
exact
mean,
phrasing.
the
Just
name of it right now is the Lab dash Fortnite Creative slash UEFN.
okay,
So
perfect. Because I know
it'll
some people type it in and search for it rather than use the link, but yeah. So the lab. So if you type in the lab creative or UFN, you'll probably find it. But yeah. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much, Twin, again, and thank you, Astro, and thank you, Rebel, for your also attendance, and everyone who's in chat. Thank you for making this a fun time. Really appreciate you. If you'd like to be part of a fireside chat to talk about your experience, hit me up. Let me know. We have a list going. We have a lot of live streams on the way, so we're kind of breaking up firesides a little bit more. But the mold. Okay, someone's very adamant on the UE side. He wants to know if Unreal Engine specifically can help him with the mold in his lungs. He needed to
um
know. We need to know.
I can't
It's
even
all
think of a good
caps.
joke to that, so I'm just gonna say I think the answer is no.
This
I
isn't a joke. This is serious.
you might want to consult a physician
Oh,
or professional Unreal Engine user about one of those things. Preferably somebody that does both somehow. I don't know if there's many doctors that also do game development. Subcloning. I don't know where
subcloning,
he is right now, but talk to Subcloning. He's a doctor
subcloning.
and map creator, so
There. Oh, there you go. 2 in 1. 2 in 1.
yeah,
Um.
duh. Well, there we go. That's the answer. Talk to Subcloning.
Oh my gosh, so rude, so rude. Anyway, so but yeah, thank you so much, Finn. I appreciate you. Thank you, audience, again. Thank you, community. I don't know who's gonna be next on the fireside. I don't know. I don't know yet. And I don't know. We have so many live streams planned that I don't even know what our next fireside is. So we got a lot of stuff coming after summer break. Keep your eyes out, keep your ears out. There's gonna be a lot. Thank you all so much. Thank you again, Twin. Thank you, Dan. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
community. See you all again soon. Don't forget to X out everywhere, Twin, because sometimes you'll be left up on one of the many programs that we have running. As a
Yeah, no
reminder.
problem.
Don't want to surprise you there. Bye, everyone.